You said that the leaves are like capturing and creating sugars and bringing it into the tree, and I think I often forget, like, or maybe I need to have that explained a little bit more to me, like the purpose of the branches and the leaves of we'll talk specifically of our tree, and the difference between the roots and what the roots are doing. Can you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. So the roots are gathering water and nutrients. That's their primary thing in terms of the biology of the tree. They also, of course, live in the soil and keep the tree up. So the roots are doing like kind of two main parts: structural stability as well as giving the tree the water and nutrients that it needs. But trees are what we call heterotrophs. And that means that trees are what we call trees are what we call autotrophs. Now, what that means is that they create their own food. So, from the water that they get, they will bring that all the way up into the leaves, and then the leaves will conduct photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is literal alchemy. They take literal air, carbon dioxide, into their leaves through these little teeny tiny pores called stomata. And then through photosynthesis, and this really complicated thing, they rip the carbon dioxide apart, release the oxygen, and then rip the water apart and add the CO2 or add the carbon to it, and they create a simple sugar. So their sugar is the same thing that we get in maple syrup, for example. Their sugars are starches and glucose. It's all of those simple sugars that you've ever heard of. They use that for food, and then they use that for energy and building themselves. So really, trees can be thought of as just a bunch of sugar converted into wood and flowers and leaves and things like that. But up in the leaves, they are creating their own food literally out of thin air and sunshine. As long as they can get water and a couple nutrients, macronutrients and things that actually get together and create the little molecules that physically are the parts that a tree is made of. These are the potassiums and nitrogens of the world. Once they get there's a couple right nutrients, they pull everything else out of the sky, and then they create their own food, and then they burn that own food, and that is why they are autotrophs. They create their own food, whereas we humans and every other animal, we're heterotrophs. We can only eat other things that have already produced food.
Well, it's hard to get out of the human meat sack and think about this. Like,
Mhm.
what, when it's making the food, um, I assume it kind of needs to go everywhere, except maybe in the center where you're saying that it's not quite living, it's just structure now. So, how, like, I think of having a stomach, like I eat, it goes down to my stomach, and then I make energy that way. So, it's making its sugars there and then pulling it through the branches, and it's like flowing through like blood. How's that working?
Yeah, so that is the other job of that cambium layer that we were talking about earlier. So the cambium layer is the vascular system of the tree, and it is present underneath every single bit of bark from the base in the roots all the way up the stems, out every branch to every twig, and then it goes through the little tiny stems that connect to each leaf called the petiole. Then it is like little capillaries out into the leaf itself. So if you ever look at a leaf, you see all the veins on it. Those are the veins that are connected to capillaries that then go down to the petiole, go down to that leaf stem, into the twig. And then through those layers, and specifically through the xylem, it takes those sugars that are dissolved in water, and the tree will put it through the rest of itself, I suppose. So that is
And
the vascular system right there.